Good evening, my loves. So, listen, you all have to bear with me. I am traveling, I am at a conference because guess what? The same way I tell you that investment in yourself is key, I lead by example. So, I am consistently pouring into myself, investing in myself so that I can be the best coach and guide and support for you all. So I'm in a hotel right now. The Wi Fi is really unreliable. So we are working off of my iPhone. So if there's a little bit of movement, all of that, I want you to know that I'm actually holding my phone. So please bear with me. Let me shout out to my goddess sister, Pamela. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so happy to see you. And for anyone else that is joining, thank you so much for staying up late and being here for the conversation. I do have quite a few questions, but because I'm working off of my phone, I wasn't able to load everything in. So I'm not going to be able to have the questions on the screen, but I will. Update the description and put them in there so you can go back and look at it on the replay if you need to. But as you all know, I am Deanna Conway Washington, your love attraction expert and you know, leader of the Love Attraction Mastery. Okay, so if you're new here, please make sure that you leave a comment, let me know what you're thinking, and you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can join the Love Attraction community. All right, make sure you go ahead and you do that. So tonight's Q&A is specifically around love and relationships, and I got quite a few really good questions. So this is going to be a good conversation. But for those who weren't able to get their question in, I may still have time for you to submit it in the comments. And I see we already have two. Oh, Denise, my other goddess sister. Thank you so much for being on the live. And Monet Banks, my sister, I like the late time. Well, I don't know. We might have to see if we can do it a little bit later. If that's helpful, we'll do a poll in the community and see how that works. So for now, love and relationships, okay? The first question, I'm going to go ahead and get to it. This one I was able to load in. So when a man closes his heart to you, should you ask questions? Very simply, yes. Unless you wanted him to close his heart to you and you were done with it, and this is just God's way of working it out for you, I would assume that you want to know why. So you definitely should ask questions, but I think you should be very careful about how you ask the questions. I think you should be soft. I think you should come from a place of how you feel. You should frame the questions in non accusatory or you don't want to be too strong with it. I think I would approach it and say, hey, I've noticed that we're not connecting. Um, I feel that you're a bit closed off to me. Is there anything that I've done to warrant you closing off to me? Is there anything that's happened that has created a change in your feelings towards me? Notice how the questions I'm asking are all framed from self, right? And they are all framed in a way that would set the person at ease and let them know that you actually care about them. So that's the key. You absolutely should ask questions, but just be mindful of how you do it. Okay, so now the other questions I don't have to put onto the screen, but they are good ones. Okay, so uh, a husband takes off his wedding ring after 2 weeks of being married. He tells the wife it's because of the job he does. She's wondering, what about the weekends? Should he be trusted? So this is a multi-layered question. I don't know how long this has been going on, but I'm going to assume that it's fairly new. Fairly new. So still in the newlywed phase, the first 2 years. If your husband wearing a wedding ring means a lot to you, you definitely should ask. Um, and make the request. Hey, honey, I know that you said you're not wearing your ring because of the job that you have. Wedding rings are really symbolic to me, and I love wearing my ring to show that I'm happily married to you. And I would love to see you wearing your ring. Can we discuss maybe a different type of ring that you could wear? I know a lot of men that work in manual labor or things where they have to protect their hands. You can get kind of like a rubber material type ring. So it's not hazardous for him to wear. So there are different options. But perhaps he doesn't want to wear one. And this is where you need to be open to have the discussion and ask, is there any particular reason, or is it just work? If it's about work and about being safe, could we look into another option? So again, communication is key. The way you frame it is very important. I see we have a comment. What are the questions you need answers to? Not sure what that means. But okay, so that's that question. The next question that I have is, am I wrong for thinking I shouldn't get a divorce until I'm ready to remarry? I don't want to be single and just dating. This is a loaded question. And first, I just want to say that I really appreciate that you all are trusting me with these deep questions. Every week, you all are opening up more and more. And I appreciate that you are trusting me with these scenarios and with providing advice. So, in this case, I'm going to ask you. Um, if you're contemplating divorce, the only factor should be that particular marriage, right? You don't want to be running from something to try to run to something. You want to make sure that if you are contemplating divorce, have you asked all the questions? Have you tried everything to save it? Have you considered if it's salvageable and if your spouse wants to still work on it? I would consider that more so than hearing you say, I don't want to be single and just dating. I That can be interpreted a number of ways. I don't want to be single and just dating. You could just be the marrying kind. You're used to being married. You're used to having that comfortability, that security, that type of commitment, and you don't want to return back to being single or dating. That's understandable. There's a lot of comforts within marriage. So I think it's great that you're thinking ahead, but I think you need to think a little bit more in the now before thinking about that future too much. Before thinking about the next and the dating, you really need to consider if divorce is what you actually want to do. And if it is, your thoughts after that should be how you're going to adjust. I don't know if you have children, but divorce is a transition for them. Um, what that means financially, what that means for your living situation. There's a lot to consider when you are getting divorced. Um, there's a lot that goes into that. So the last thing you should be thinking about is dating. That will add another level of complexity to your situation. So my recommendation in that case is, if you are not ready to just deal with yourself and kind of close that one door, you may want to spend the time figuring that out. Okay. If you would like to discuss your situation more and give more details, I definitely recommend that you book a guidance call with me. So we can kind of discuss what are some of your options and maybe decide on a path for you to start on for healing and attracting the love that you desire and so rightly deserve. And that goes for anyone that is in a relationship, that is preparing for marriage, that is trying to navigate being single. I'm here to help. Utilize me. Well, I'm here to assist. I don't help. You have to do the work yourself, and I guide, I teach, I assist. Um, Let me see. Those are the questions that were submitted to me. For anyone that is on the live now, um, do you have any other questions um, that you would like for me to answer? Again, I apologize for this like janky promoter kind of setup. I really didn't want to disappoint you guys and not have the live, but the Wi-Fi situation here is totally unreliable. Couldn't use my laptop, so I had to resort to my phone. I don't see any further comments or questions coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this live short. For those of you that stayed up and you tuned in, thank you so much. For those of you that submitted the questions, I really appreciate you, and know that you can submit questions all week long. You don't have to wait until Friday. Actually, it's a little bit better if you submit them sooner. Because then I can get them processed into the system. I can have them on the screen so people can follow along a little bit easier. But again, thank you so much, Pamela. Excellent job as always. I appreciate your support. Thank you, Denise, again for chiming in. Thank you so much, my sister, Monet Banks. I appreciate you guys so much. This was great. Denise, you got to tune in like when I really have it all together. It's a little bit more put together, but I appreciate you guys so much. Have a great weekend. I have already put up the live for Monday. Set your reminders, okay? Stop treating relationships like marriage. Another controversial one, but it's needed. All right. I love you all. Remember that God is love. We are of God, so attracting love is easy, especially when you have me as your guide. I love you all. Have a good night.